register to vote, 'cause that's your power.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony Sier. And of course, this is Focus on Liberia on our program On Point, always hosted here by Mr. Jerome Gilman. He has allowed me to sit in the driver's seat today in this very important discussion. And folks, we want to say welcome and welcome again. Do us that favor, hit that share button. Let's get the discussion to as many Liberians as possible. The subject on our menu today is so important. It is so crucial. And we have an influence on the upcoming election 2023. The topic, the importance of vice presidential selection in the opposition camp. The ruling government is all set. George Malawia is ready, and Joel Howard Taylor is also ready. They have a ticket, and we are hoping on the side that claims to be the alternative. Are they alternative in making that decision? Anyway, politics is like that. The opposition always last to decide, so no issue. But how far are they? Are they serious about it? These are the things we want to discuss before I can bring in Mr. Gilman and Mr. Palmo to get started. We want to know, should a ticket be decided on the opposition side, or should any of the opposition candidates to be decide a vice presidential candidate? How will that renew the energy on the opposition side? We will be discussing that. Also, we're talking about early start. If one of them decide or picks a vice presidential candidate, how will it start the opposition in taking the fight to President Weah, and how would that even avoid the 2017 scenario, and how would that also influence resource mobilization? We will discuss. Also, we will be looking at lessons learned from the Nigerian presidential election. Folks, Nigeria has just had its presidential election, in which, when you look at the numbers, only if the opposition had come together, they would have won, the ruling party. But they didn't do that. So as a result, the ruling party won. What can we learn from that Nigerian presidential election that just ended? And finally, the opposition claims it is the alternative. How, in any way, has the opposition been an alternative for the Liberian people and for our country, especially in deciding a ticket as we speak? These are the issues we will be discussing. I also want to say again, welcome and welcome. Mr. Jerome Gilman is comfortably seated from Florida. I don't know, is it called the Sunshine State or why? You help me out here. How you doing, my brother?
Thank you very much. Yes, it is the Sunshine State. We're 90 degrees today, so beautiful. Good to be here.
All right. The man who joins us always from the nation's capital is Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, it's good to have you. How is the nation's capital? Please unmute, Jimmy.
Well, we have a sunny day in the nation's capital. How can you hear me now? Hello.
Not too well, Jimmy. But come again. Let's see.
How well do you hear me now?
It's not better, Jimmy. I don't know. Let me leave you and come to Mr. Michael Palmer, who and I share the same beautiful state of Minnesota. Good brother. It's good to see you. How you doing?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anthony. It's always great to be here. It's great. Spring is coming to Minnesota little by little. We all excited. We know how beautiful Minnesota gets during the spring and summer. So we're all excited, and we're looking forward to a good show today.
All right. Jimmy, let's try that again. How I said that?
I'm switching microphones. Can you hear me better now?
Way too better, Jimmy. How you doing? How's the nation's capital? I asked earlier.
It's a wonderful day in the nation's capital. We are having a very sunny, clear day, about 60-degree weather, not as warm as balmy Florida, but we're grateful and looking forward to interesting discussion as we have very important things to talk about today.
Thank you, Jimmy. Gentlemen, let us not waste time. Let's get into it. Picking a vice president is key in any election, especially this coming election that is crucial. The opposition is one thing they've said consistently is to make President we are a one-term president. Either they do it individually or they do it collaboratively. That has been their goal from day one. Where are they now? None of them has decided who they will go with on their ticket. Why is it taking them so long? First of all, gentlemen, let's look at the pool of possible, VP picks that we have right now. Mr. Gibman, let me start with you. If any of these prospective candidates on the opposition side is to pick anybody, who all do we have in their pool for them to pick from?
Well, thank you. As you know, we have already established a winning ticket in Dr. George Weah and Dr. Joel Howard Taylor. So we are looking for bridesmaids, political bridesmaids. So let's look at Joseph Boakai, who may or may not come in second in his camp, and we have no fish to fry in this. But we are looking at the possible candidates that made themselves available to him. We are looking at Ms. Beslow from the UN. I think when you are looking for a top quality woman to have international experience, somebody with impeccable record, untarnished, I think she's high on the list. We're looking at the senator from Grand Bassa County, Nyobli Kanga Lawrence. She's also high on the list. But as far as I'm concerned, when she barely won her own county, Grand Bassa County, without the help of Alexander Cummings and the original CPP, she would have lost that election of Westogar Finley. Joseph Walker also had the option of reaching across the aisle and picking Mr. Alexander Cummings. If you want to have a true a coalition, one that will bring all of our folks together to make sure that the folks know that we are serious in Liberia, it would behoove him to reach out to Alexander Cummings and say, you know what, let's join our forces. You have youth and corporate experience on your side. I have name recognition. I have the experience. We can combine our efforts and make George Weah a one-term president. If he wants to go by popularity and he wants to tap into Nima County, he could also look at Jeremiah Cone and say, Jeremiah Cone, you are from Nima County. You are a senator that is well loved in your county. Maybe you can help me carry me over the finish line. The problem with that would be Jeremiah Cone is a handpicked person of Senator Prince Johnson. So how would that play with the sanction and everything else? And then we heard about Prince Moyi from Bond County. If you wanted to challenge the vice president who is hailing from Bond County, I think Prince Moyi is a very young, energetic guy who will bring some energy to the camp.
Mr. We are also hearing about Herring Costa as somebody who more than like shortlisted. Buaka is also thinking in that direction. Have you heard anything of that? And would that be a problem?
Oh, I think if you heard anything of that nature, it would be the propaganda of Mr. Costa himself. I don't think anybody politically who has any idea we even think on picking a man who went to run for senator in Monserrate County and just decided to drop arm and wave the white flag and left town. Anyone who would pick someone like that is actually headed to oblivion.
And if I may, Costa is on record for saying that if he have to relinquish his ambition to be senator or to ensure a Bwaka victory, he will so do because going into the Senate, he's not sure how much impact he will make because he will have one vote. Don't you think he has opened that window to be considered?
Well, if you think in the Senate you have one vote, think of being vice president where you got no vote. So it makes no sense. That tells you that he has no political experience. That's political naivety to guarantee.
You think so with his influence on Bwakai? You think he can direct things? The way he wants to see things happening. It might be calculated, don't you see it? Joy Howard Taylor is powerful today in the CDC, isn't it?
Well, you see, when you get into these collaborations, it becomes a power struggle. He's not the only one in that coalition that wants power. So this is where the problem usually comes in. There are different wings of the political party. He may come from the populist wing of the political party, but not necessarily policy and integrity and stuff of that nature.
Thank you. Jimmy, we're looking at the pool rather of possible, vice presidential contenders, right? What are the names that you're hearing? How good are they? Which one is better for either of the candidates? I know Mr. Gilman did not mention Tiawon Gonglo. I don't know why. Maybe he forgot that. How are you looking at it?
Excellent. Just what you said, Anthony. Tiawon Gongo is one of those people on a short list. I think if we want to provide proper, analysis, I think we need to look at all the presidential candidates in the race today. Mm-hmm. Some people like Jeremiah Kuhn that he mentioned, Simeon Taylor, and Councillor Gongo. Each one of those presidential candidates is a potential vice.
Excuse me, Jimmy, you met Simeon Freeman or Simeon Taylor?
Simeon Freeman.
Simeon Freeman, yes, from the NPC. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Simeon Freeman. Each one of those are similar, likely VP candidates. But the dynamics that has to play out. Okay. It appears that we may see something different round two, but for round one, okay, and for the initial round, I do not see any presidential candidate becoming a VP yet. I believe we're going to have to see some mergers down the road, some different things happening. Yombly is a high on the list as well, VP, but she's not running for president. So I look at that as will Bwakai pick somebody now, and then later will he merge with another group? Then what will happen to the vice president? So another potential person that is not really saying anything, but it's very likely someone could try to approach Darius DeLon. Yombly may step out the way and allow Darius DeLon to run as VP to Bwakai. I think that will be a formidable ticket. So I think down the road we're going to see some mergers, which we haven't seen yet.
Let's forget about mergers for now. Why, if anything, you think is delaying their pick by any of these individuals running, what do you think is delaying that? Why has
Oh, if
Waka picked somebody
it,
for VP? Why has Cummings not? Why has Gonglo not?
the impact is a tremendous. Whoever the VP will be chosen will provide a tremendous impact on the results. So they have to choose wisely, and it's a challenging thought. For instance, VP Buckeye, he needs to pick somebody who will resonate with the young people. Um, Alexander Cummings, he
And you
needs
think
to.
who would be a better pick that would jumpstart? Let's talk about Waka specifically. Who would be the best pick or a better pick for Waka to give him energy on his side, to bring in the resources to avoid the 2017 scenario and give him momentum and probably unify the opposition? Who
And
would
that's
happen
why
to?
I'm looking at somebody like in the person of Senator Dillon. He's to me that would be a pretty good pick. Maybe not too much financially. Another good pick for him would be Simeon Freeman, because both of these people are younger than VP Buckeye. I think for Alex Cummings, a pick would be somebody who the people are very familiar with, and so somebody somebody like Gongo would have helped him, but because Gongo is running, he has to pick somebody outside that group, and then he has to go to another populist.
Jimmy, Waka has popularity. He's known in Liberia, right? So if anything, he needs to be added to him. Is that somebody who is popular, somebody who brings money, somebody who brings more votes? What should he be looking for more? The fact that he has some popularity and in recognition. Should it be another popularity, money, or votes?
He has popularity with a certain sector of the population. Okay. So he wants to bring not to people already in that sector from a different sector to the group, right? So that's why he needs to pick somebody from a younger generation to help him out. That's what he really needs. And after the first round, then we may see something different. I just don't think right now anybody who's picked for VP will remain the same in the second round, and that's what I'm looking at.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer, I come to you. And the question is simple. What is causing this delay as other people see it? By any of these prospective candidates to be, or the individuals running for president, to pick anybody for VP. What is delaying that? What is stopping that? Why is it taking this long?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me issue a disclaimer
Okay.
that on this platform, even though I am a member of the ANC and I do support Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings for president, when I come here, I speak of my own volition, of my own thought, and nothing I say here represents the ANC or anything the ANC intends to do. That being said, look, the Liberian people have made it clear. They want a united opposition ticket. That is it. Anything short of that, everybody on their own. They've made it very clear. Okay? Unity Party has laid claim to being the most popular party, even though they haven't proven it yet anywhere. There are no elections where the Unity Party since 2017 has proven that they are the most popular, but they lay claim to it. Okay? That being said, then if they are the most popular party, everybody else waiting for the Unity Party to pick the vice presidential candidate. That's what everybody waiting for. Joseph Boyka has been given the crown of being the elder statesman in the room, the man of wisdom. So we're waiting for the wise man to make the decision. Here's the thing. The easiest pathway to the presidency for Joseph Boyka is the Boyka Cummings ticket. Everybody know. For Joseph Boyka, I'll say for anybody else, for Joseph Boyka, the easiest pathway, first round victory for Joseph Boyka to become president, what he wants so dearly, is a Cummings ticket.
And why so, Mr. Palmer? Why so? Why so?
Because that's what the Liberian has called for.
And why are the ingredients? Why are the ingredients in such tickets that will make that victory possible?
Everything that Joseph Boyka lacks, Alexander Cummings has.
For example,
money, youthfulness, experience in the private sector, all those international contacts, all the things that Joseph Boyka lacks. Joseph Boyka has worked in government for 40 years. Alexander Cummings has worked in the private sector for 30 years. That's what Joseph Boyka lacks. Joseph Boyka has popularity as they have laid claim to it, but there are lack of finances. Alexander Cummings has finances. Joseph Boyka is of age. Alexander Cummings is younger. I mean, everything that Boyka lacks, Cummings has. This is a step-by-step thing, okay? So what is the issue?
If I may here, could that be the reason Cummings too is delaying and that we have not even heard of any shortlist from his side? Could it be that Cummings knows that whoever he pays to go solo, he doesn't stand a chance in as much as Boyka is in the race, and so he has opened his window so wide for him to be picked by Boyka? Could that be the reading here?
No, absolutely not. Let me tell you something. Some people tend to forget something.
Okay.
Alexander Cummings was vice president for Coca-Cola. But nobody ever take the time to look to see he was vice president for what. Alex Cummings was vice president for a list of things, including strategy. This man is well disciplined in strategy. Alexander Cummings has a short list, but he understands that for that list to be real and for it to have integrity, he has to keep it close to his chest until time. When the time presents itself, he will unveil what he wants to unveil. But until that time, he won't do so. It's almost disrespectful.
And is that list anything to trust, given Tim Cummings that became somehow a questionable list? And I don't know whether it's this standing or it has any meaning in any way in terms of integrity and all that. So why would anybody want to trust a list that he's keeping as a secret at this time? Politics is not secret, isn't it?
No, it's not secret. The list. Look, when you are vetting people, you can't be public about it. Okay, you have to, because the first thing is that if you call a name right now, you draw that person into the political limelight. That's being disrespectful. That's being manipulative. Okay, and it's actually not showing that person any respect. You and that person, look, after you don't vetting the person, when you have your short list, then you speak to the person and say, hey, I've placed you on my short list. Okay, and now I need my investigators to meet with you, because it's part of the vetting process. And then you take it to a whole different level. And it's at that time, then you can say, okay, this is what it is. But until that is done, you can't, because some people want to be private. There are people who are on that list that nobody will ever hear about. Because they live private lives and they want their life to remain private. If I call 3 names to you right now, and I think these are the 3 people that Alexander Cummings, those people's lives become public right away. Everybody will start digging into them. Gamer is waiting already.
Mr. Palmer,
he will start digging and he will start putting people business outside.
Mr. Palmer,
you can't do that. You can't
Mr.
do that
Palmer,
to people. Yes, sir.
Mr. Palmer, you said the best choice Boyka can make right now is to pick Cummings as VP, the Liberian people will support that ticket will be a win.
It will be a first
That
round
is
victory.
Waka, yeah, it will be a first round victory in your
Yes.
words. Now, that is Waka's decision to make or not make because he may have options. For example,
Yes.
he may pick Tiawon Gonglo, who
Mhm.
has an excellent name recognition, a little bit, and good record and strong, on the rule of law. We are also hearing about Costa. Are you saying Marius Cummings on a Bwaka ticket, Bwaka going to lose?
What I'm telling you, minus Cummings on a boycott ticket, boycott cannot win first round.
But he can win second round.
Anything can happen second round. But you have to get to second round to be able to win second round.
Which one would be a bad choice for Bwaka? A Bwaka Costa ticket will be bad? Or will it energize the base?
You see,
or how will Unity Party see a Bwaka Costa ticket? Will Unity Party as an institution accept such ticket and support Bwaka, or it will put them in a situation of well, let's wait and see how will it play out in your judgment?
this is what I'll say, and I hope you guys are listening to me. And when I talked about boycott Cummings, I spoke very specifically about how they complement each other. I don't see that with a boycott Costa. You understand what I mean? Does Costa have any private sector experience? No. Does Costa have any cash? No. Does Costa have any international, recognition? No. So how does he complement Boyka? What are the shortcomings of Boyka that Henry Costa will complement besides the youthfulness of it? That is the only thing I see, and that cannot get you to first round or second round. Where the money coming from? How you're going to run your campaign? Who's going to raise this money? So for me, that's where I look at it from. I don't think Costa it's the same thing on Young Lee.
But then you think Costa, because you can't dismiss Costa. He has
no. I'm not dismissing.
Yeah, let me land with my question. I'm not saying you're dismissing him. I'm just setting the premise of my question, right? We cannot dismiss Costa's influence. He has a platform. He reaches thousands of Liberians, right? And we know for a fact that he and Cummings more than a bad blood. He has said repeatedly that he will not support anything with Alice Cummings in it, which presupposes that he can decide not to support a Cummings Waka ticket and more than likely undermine it. Do you fear any danger with that?
Let me tell you something. Well, he may have said that before, right? But the last thing that Henry Costa has said is that whosoever that Boyka chooses, he will support. That is Henry Costa's position, and that is something I've heard from his mouth myself.
And you think he will not be looking for a way to get pacified to do so? Will he just jump?
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't read into the man's mind. I don't know. He might even change his mind and say, you know what? I said it before, but now that maybe it's a Boyka Cummings, I can't do it. I really don't know. I really don't know. But what I do know is that the easiest pathway to the presidency for Joseph Yiman Boyka is a Cummings VP. That's it. That's a fact that nobody can dispute. Nobody. I dare anybody.
And Mr. Gilbert, let me come to you here. I will make a very strong point that everybody waiting for VP Boyka. Do you believe this? Because it's likely now. Because what is stopping Tiawon? He said he's going to win the thing in the first round by 65%. His own words on this platform. I don't know what he was thinking. All right. Cummings have not said anything absolutely. Just been saying will ensure that the May president, we are a one-term president. So the fact that he too does not even have a known short list yet, it's like he's even auditioning for a VP slot as tier one and maybe others. That's what I'm surmising here. Is Palmo right that everybody voting for Boyka here?
Listen, this is what I like about the Liberian politics. And this is what I like about the CDC and Dr. Weir. Dr. Weir have beaten these guys into submission. Can you imagine a few months ago, several months ago, maybe 2 years ago, Alexander Cummings was category where he said, I cannot make change to this country, not in the House of Representatives, not in the Senate. I have to make change to this country from the presidency. And I am not going for number two. I am going to be the president of this country. So it looks like George Weah have beaten sense into him, and he threw in the towel, and now he's saying he wants to be the maid of honor to Joseph Boakai, and asking Joseph, I'm actually flabbergasted that a strong supporter of Cummings few months ago that were hell-bent on Cummings being the president of Liberia is now here admitting that they have thrown in the towel and he's willing to be number two to Cummings, to Boakai. This tells you the power of the CDC. And we on your platform here, Gonglo said he was going to win this thing in the first round. And President Weah have beaten sense into his head. Now he's saying, I'm here, hear me, and nobody has called me. Nobody calling me. So all these people are auditioning. They are auditioning. They are not serious candidates. And they think they will ride on the old man. Costa made it clear. In 2007, 2016, during the election, this man was a dead man walking. He's a narcissistic, tribalistic, unredeemable human being. And now, Mr. Cummings are throwing the towel, knowing the train that's coming, that locomotive from the CDC is coming through in the tower. Gongro himself does not want to be run over, and he is throwing the tower for a first round victory. So what we see here is a collection of losers. Joseph Boakai lost. Cummings are throwing the tower, now he want to be VP. Gonglo also say he's not throwing his own ambition, he want to be VP. So I tell you what, I think there was one time somebody came up with a ticket. They say Joseph Boakai VP, Joseph Boakai president, Cummings VP, Nyomi Kangas president pro tem. They have carved up this cake already in absentia. So yeah, Mr. Xie, this is slam dunk. I think we're not even going to go to second rounds. And finally, they don't even have the time. We are talking about 5 years of preparation, and up to this point, we got 7 more months to go. They haven't even come down to this.
Thank you, Jimmy. Let me tease your brain here.
Yeah.
So let's say Boakai picks TI1, or Cummings. Will we have a single opposition ticket? Because should that happen, if and when that happens, right? Gonglo knows he doesn't have a chance. And Simeon Freeman knows he doesn't have a chance. Will they fall in line with a Cummings Boakai ticket? A Boakai Cummings ticket? And now will we have pretty much like maybe 2 persons going into the race, so to speak? Is that likely?
Wow. It has been known for some time now that the Cummings, the Boakai Cummings ticket is very, very favorable to the opposition. Mm-hmm. But the likelihood of such doesn't look very clear at all. No, but definitely a Boakai Cummings ticket is going to be very formidable. Just reimagine about the by-elections that we had. Mm-hmm. You saw how strong CPP turnout was. They were very successful in several facets of the elections. That is a glaring example of how successful they will be if they come together as one force. And I believe there will be other opposition, just like you said, like Gonglo, like Simeon Taylor. They too will, in the end, throw their support behind such a ticket. But the likelihood of such a ticket is becoming more and more bleak because there's been so much bad blood and so much name calling. And
Jimmy, hold on, Jimmy. How can you say that now when of recent Boakai is saying he wants all hands on deck and he has opened the window to have conversation with CPP, right? Costa, who has been an ardent supporter of Waka, who was one Molek, a political enemy of Cummings, is now saying whatever goes for Waka will go for him. And don't you see that they are seeing that anything minus a Waka and Cummings ticket will not be good for the opposition, and they are more than willing to maintain what they promised all along to make president. We are a one-term president. You don't see that possibility, because if you look at Unity Party, sorry, I'm trying to be long here. Unity Party is more than just waiting. In my judgment, they are dispirited. They don't have anything. All right. And on the Cummings side, they have the money, but the traction is so low. And so this is what I see. It paves the way for them to swallow their egos, reunite, and go into the election. That's what I see. You see the opposite still?
Yeah, you just called it, Anthony. If Bwaka can show that much leadership, that much political maneuvering to bring Cummings to him and run as VP, then he definitely will deserve going ahead and winning the election, because that will be an outstanding feat to do after all that has happened. And he can bring people, he can bring them back together. That kind of leadership, if he can show it and accomplishes it, well, then he's a surefire ticket for the contending with President we have for this next election. Yes, but that will require him being that type of leader now.
Thank you. And Mr. Palmo, before I come to you here, let's look at the other option here. Lessons learned from the Nigerian presidential election. And let me put some numbers on the board so that I can ask you to put on that analytical cap of yours that is solid in my judgment. So this is the results of the just ended Nigerian presidential election. So you see Bola Tinubu of the ruling party. He won the election with 36%. The rest of the candidates are those who oppose the ruling party. All right. You see Abu Bakar there with 29, followed by Peter Obi with 29%. So if these people had come together, the 29 plus 25, because the ruling party won with just 36%. So looking at that, what lesson can the Liberian opposition learn looking at what they did with the CPP to ensure a victory for the opposition? You are muted, Mr. Palmer.
The thing is so peculiar, right? You have Abu Bakar, the elder statesman. You have Peter Obi, the young, vibrant guy that captured the hearts of the young people through social media. Look at the numbers. If Abu Bakar had been able to bring on Obi as his VP, today, they will be preparing for inauguration. Yeah. They would have defeated the incumbent party. It is so clear to see. But guess what? They decided to go independently. And because of that, now both of them are in the losing side. And the ruling party has won again. I don't understand what is so difficult for people to grasp in this thing. You know, there has to be a united opposition. There has to be a united opposition, or else come October, we'll be looking at the same thing. We'll be looking at the same thing. We have to unite.
And Mr. Palmo, for more clarity to the point that you are making, right? Can you look at our past election results and use the results, all right, from the combined opposition or candidates in the last election and try to show a picture of how it can possibly happen as it happened in the case of Nigeria?
Well, I hesitate to do that just because it's been almost 6 years, you know, and a lot of things have shifted. A lot of things have shifted. But when you look at things, the first thing is that the WIA Joel Howard Taylor ticket was not a winning ticket. They did not win. They needed help. That ticket only took them to second round. That is what that ticket does. That WIA Taylor ticket, it takes them to second round. And it's in the second round, that's where they needed help. Okay? But when you look at everybody else, you look at Boyka or the UP, you look at Liberty Party, you look at ANC. If you put the numbers together for those three parties, they would have defeated Jawia and Taylor. It was a walk in the park. You know, and it's the same thing now. As a matter of fact, not only do they have that now, but on top of that, they have the disenchanted seditions. On to add to that mix, people who trusted George Weah with the presidency and thought he was going to improve their lives, and now they find themselves in worse condition. If you add that group to the United Party, Liberty Party, ANC, it's a first round victory. That's
Michael, you said the numbers might have shifted. In which direction, in your judgment, they may have shifted?
I believe that I believe United Party, I think they lost some numbers, not to CDC, and this is what people need to understand, but to other opposition parties. I believe that. I believe United Party lost some numbers to other opposition parties. So as long as the opposition parties come together, the numbers remain. It is in unity that the numbers remain. It is in the division of the opposition that those numbers scatter. Okay?
So if you look at the opposition as a unit,
yes,
nothing has shifted away from them.
Nothing has shifted. Block. Things have added.
Okay.
Things have added to it. Indeed, things have added to it.
Jimin, your take. You're looking at the election result from Nigeria, comparing that with Liberia.
But the dynamics in Nigeria are different. If those same results were to appear in Liberia, right? Those same results, we'd have a runoff. We'd have to have another runoff election for somebody to achieve the majority. You know, there's a saying, African proverbs. He says, "An army of sheep led by a lion will defeat an army of lions led by a sheep." The leader here is going to make the difference on that CPP ticket, okay? And we have seen clearly that Mr. Cummings says he will go to a contested convention, but not to simply go as VP. That is not in the books. I'm a little bit confused about why my brother
let me provide clarity, Jimmy. Cummings said no one runs for the post of VP.
That's right.
It's a choice by a presidential candidate to make. So those who are asking him, he can't say, "Oh, I'm running for VP." Chawon said the same thing, and it was misconstrued when he said, "Well, no one has talked to me," right? I just wanted to make that clarity. Go ahead.
Right, exactly, and that is why I'm kind of confused with Padmo today, because it's not in sight. The Cummings and Boakai coming together is no longer, as much as the opposition realize that this is the best ticket. They are diametrically apart. Okay. And then also, I'd like to say something. I don't see the psychological or the value, the philosophical value of the ANC and that of the Unity Party. These guys have of different philosophies. Okay, the Unity Party is doing what we call a consensus. In other words, we will agree the way we used to do. All the elders meet together. We agree for this man to go.
Jimmy, if I bring something to your attention here, please allow me to do this, right? So if you look at these political leaders, if one thing they enjoy is the loyalty from their surrogates, they may be saying, "We don't want this," but once their political leader decides that this is what we're doing, they will fall in line. That I can say for a fact. They might murmur here and there. We see that with CDC, the disenchanted sedition, they will always come around. I'm saying that to say, don't you think if Boakai and Cummings see the need for them to unite, all the people that are making the noise will fall in line, and now their whole quest now will be, how do I fit in? How does it benefit me? That's why it will come to at the end of the day. They're not going to tell Boakai, "Don't make that decision." I don't think so. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I believe whatever the leader says, the people will fall in line. That is true. But the problem is not the people that the problem is. The two leaders. One they have different philosophies. They have different ways of strategies, and they have different direction. So just like Jerome Gavin was saying, they have already paved the way for a second term for the CDC. They've
You,
already
you,
paved the
you
way.
continue to mention philosophy. I don't see any philosophy with these guys. Tell me what is common philosophy? What is Waka or
Okay,
ANC?
let,
I don't see their philosophy. I mean, the noise that they make.
Cummings wants to industrialize the country. He wants to open up the country. He wants to establish the institutes that we have today. We want to refine them. It's not things are not working according to Cummings the way they should be working, and the only way to do it is to put capable experts in a certain position to have this country go. The second thing you have to do, you have to organize our resources. We are bleeding in resources.
But don't the Unity Party people say that too? You hear them say that?
The Unity Party, as we have seen, they champion. They said roads and agriculture. That's what I hear from that camp: roads and agriculture. But what I was really looking at is how they go about their selection of leaders and how they go about their way of pushing their agenda. It's completely different than that of the ANC. You know, it's completely different. There are two different groups, and I don't see how these two groups, with such a different philosophy, will come together. I don't see it at all. And this is where the problem was from the get go. Nobody saw those underlining features, and one will have to give way to the other. So unless we adopt,
you think they have not learned a lesson enough, Jimmy, given that they are unpopular now? East side is almost like dispirited. The only time they had the spirit and the momentum was when they were together, and they won bigly when they were together. And they know that when they are divided, I mean, it's a losing mission they're on. Don't you think they've learned lesson enough, or you think their egos are still strong, or very strong, that they would rather die together and get beaten by the CDC again? Is that what you believe?
you know the crab mentality. The crab mentality. If I can't, as one man tries to go up, he hold the other man. This is the crab mentality I see among those two. That's what happened. That's why they would do it. Either of them will not go anywhere because of the crab mentality.
Thank you. Mr. Gilman, please take out your CDC. Let me see your Propo cup first. Let me see that cup. What kind of juice you got in there? Saccharomyces juice? Well, put that cup away. On a serious note, Mr. Gilman, take out that cap for once. Remove yourself from under the sycamore tree. If anything the opposition must do to have a chance here, what it is?
Honestly, and I keep saying this because most of us here that have participated in election, resource mobilization is important. I don't care how you look at it. Your messages have to get out. You have to have, if you listen to the last election that was held in Lofa, they ran out of, Unity Party ran out of money. Several of the polling stations, they didn't even have representatives there. So if anybody tells you that resources is not important, it's not true. So for the opposition to have a chance to compete, they have to have resources. They have to have the ability to mobilize resources. Those are some of the things that everybody needs. I don't care how good you are. You saw in this country with resources, Donald Trump, even though I'm a Republican, where you cannot tell me that Donald Trump would beat somebody like Hillary Clinton if he didn't have the resources to mobilize on every front, everywhere you can. So if he didn't have that, because we heard the election, what is it, about 1.2 billion on each side that was spent, that's a lot of money. Same thing in Liberia. The last election in 2016, you saw helicopters from the Unity Party. You saw helicopter, the CDC political party. You saw motorbikes. You saw trucks. I mean, we're talking about money. You saw a huge array of workmanship. We talk about the workforce to cover all 15 counties, is that 70 districts. We talk about some serious mobilization here. So Joseph Walker needs to look at that and say, like Mr. Padmore was saying, I have to agree with him on this. You look for candidates that complement you in areas where you are weak. In management and resources, Cummings bring this to the table. He bring experience and name recognition and trust. So bringing those two things together gave them a good fighting chance. Not because you had the resources that just going to happen. You have to use it wisely. You have to earn it. So yes, outside of the political orientation, you need the resources. You need the ability to mobilize the resources, and you need those people with the experience. Like he said, somebody brought in. I mean, talk about corporate experience and then finances. Those are two critical things that he will need. So Joseph Boyka lately, even when he got into Liberia, one of the guys were asking one of the Unity parties and say, why Joseph Boyka basically snuck into the country. He said, to be honest with you, when you are bringing people to the airport, you need buses, you need vans, you need gas, you need food. You got to bring the partisans to meet you. We are not in that position now to do that. So that tells you that they are cash strapped. And if I were Joseph Boyka, I'd be calling Mr. Cummings to join me.
And let me give you a softball, the one you like so much. With all this, as you pull it, if they should pull all their resources together and form a united ticket on the opposition side, how you think your guy will manage? Dr. Weir, your Dr. Weir, how will he manage to defeat them? Because you said he's going to win either way.
Bekube Usman, Dr. George Manawia. The reason when you go into the war room, they want to combine these two and beat them is to actually get rid of Cummings once and for all. Because we know after this election, Joseph Walker will be like maybe 102 year or the next time. So he's no longer going to be in the race. And then we will have gotten rid of Cummings. We made sure the world know that he has been defeated twice. And that 7% now, from what I hear in Nima, is now down to 1%. So that battle is getting real low. So the way to get rid of these two folks, to make sure that 2029 belongs to the next generation of sedition, the Kojis of the world, the Josephine Davis of the world, the vice president, she may decide to run. This would be a clear path to victory. So yes, you want to put these things into one and swap them out and get them out. You kill three birds with one stone. You don't want to deal with them individually 2029. You want to put them to sleep, and that's what we're going to do.
I like to interject quickly, if you don't mind.
Please, Jimmy, go ahead.
It is very important that the CDC wins a one-round victory. If you have a second round, all bets are off. The dynamic will change. And that is because CDC will be running on their existing record. And all depends on how the mobilization will be performed during the elections. But if it's not a one-round victory, all bets are off.
Can I, a point of correction, can I interject, please, Mr. Sia?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Okay, let's look at this. The second round, even though we are not going to go to second round, I can show you that with the mobilization and what we are seeing. Even yesterday when they went to Lofa County, you saw the poll there. Even in Joseph Boyka's own hometown, George, we are president. We are beating him there. But this is what's going to happen in the second round. This is why in this country we say incumbency and something called the bullet pulpit. The bullet pulpit, the incumbent president has the power to appoint. He has the power to make pledges. He has the resources to give. For instance, if, let's say, Jeremiah Cohn or Gonglo wanted to join with Joseph Boyka in the second round, and the president came and said, listen, Gonglo, we like you, you know what you can do. We'll make you the next Chief Justice, or we make you the Justice Minister, bring some gravitas to what we are doing. It's here, you can have it now. And you go to Nyobli Kanga and say, Nyobli Kanga, the election in Bassa was rough. We know the next one is coming. We're going to guarantee that no, we don't put anybody against you and behind you. These are tangibles. The American, our old folks say, one bird in a hand is better than 1,000 out there. If President Weah came to the table and said, I gave you this, will you say, okay, I'm going to hold on to this, or I'm going to leave it and listen to white guy if he wins? Or if I brought $500,000 cash and say, for what you have done, I want to reimburse you for all your expenditure. Here is $500,000. Come on this side. Will you leave it and say, you know what? If Joseph Walker win, he may give me more. That's not how it works. So the dynamic is always, the incumbents always have that problem. He has that advantage because he has the bullet pulpit. He has that power.
Thank you. And let me bring Mr. Palmer in before we go to the issue alternative, and then we will go to the phone lines and the possible comments. Mr. Palmer, the second round scenario, who is more than likely, or which side is more than likely to attract more people, and why will you say that?
Well, the opposition, whichever opposition party that goes to second round will have more space to attract people. It's very simple. Right now, CDC is not working for second round. CDC is going for a first round knockout. So all of the collaborations, all of the marriages, CDC are making those commitments now. They are forming those collaboratives now. That's what they are doing. If those collaboratives cannot take them to a first round victory, there's nowhere else to look. There's nothing out there to look. The only thing that's going to be left is opposition. Now, unless in any opposition that decides to cross over and go to CDC, they've just put a nail in the coffin. They might as well just pack it up. Because the first thing is that CDC has already shown they don't live up to commitments. So then anything they're promising you, they're complete flat. It's not going to happen. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you will always be seen now as a traitor to the opposition. And that anything negative that comes out of a second round of CDC will be placed on your head. And so the reason why the Liberian people are going through this is because you decided to join Weah. And so the opposition will have more space to add people on. But here's the problem. The problem is how much damage would have already been done. How many people will be turned off? We saw this during the last elections. Even though Mr. Comey said, go out there and vote your conscience, most people stay home. More people stay home. Half of the people that voted first round, they didn't vote the second round. A lot of people don't know this. Half of the people that voted first round did not vote second round. They were turned off by both people, and they decided to stay home. So if a party like Unity Party thinking that, well, maybe we can bully our way into the second round, and during the second round, then opposition parties will, whether they like it or not, they will come and vote for us. They can try it, but that is not a guarantee at all. That is not a guarantee. And they might just see another reoccurrence of 2017 where they get to the second round and then they fall flat. And George Weah wins again.
Yeah, let's talk about the voter empathy factor, right? Where because the people or the voters don't trust the politician anymore, they more than likely will decide not to vote. Because I remember in the Nigerian election, about 1 million people abstain, they not vote, chose not to vote, or because they don't trust the system, right? Yep. The same thing in Liberia, especially when the opposition is not united, the people don't trust both the opposition and the ruling government. In that scenario, who you think tend to benefit a little more? Because what we've seen is seditions are always enthusiastic, not to a greater extent. They will go for George Weah, right? Whereas on the opposition side, you see that we saw that with Hillary Clinton. That's why, most of the young people say, well, our man Bernie is out of the way. We're not going to vote. And Trump won that election because of that. who is more than likely to benefit when we have a scenario like that?
It will be the ruling party. It will be George Weah. That's what happened in Nigeria. What you are explaining is what happened in Nigeria. Okay? People were turned off with opposition disunity, and they decided to stay home. And it played to the ruling party. It's what happened. If you remember, it's what happened in Lofa. That's what happened in Lofa. Lofa, it wasn't a united opposition going to Lofa. It was United Party decided we will go and show our juice as a single party. We have the numbers. We are going to show our juice. And guess what happened? When they went to show their juice, you saw what happened. They lost. They lost to George. They lost to even though people say, well, you're not sedition, but they lost. That was the point. In Lofa.
Yeah, when we are showing the numbers on the screen, Mr. Pablo,
look at that.
The last column there. Yeah, total votes, non-cast, abstain. 68 what? Million people. 68 million people refuse to vote because they don't trust either side.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what happened? The party in power won with just 36%, just because the opposition could not pull their 29, their 25, and the other little percentages together to win the ruling establishment. So this is a lesson for the opposition if they are listening. This is what we do. We break the things down for people to get their education and make decisions. And that is why when I say, well, what is taking? And I agree with Pablo. Everybody voting for Joseph Boakai here. This thing should be an easy decision for him.
Look, let me tell you something. I remember watching the American presidential debate. I remember when Kamala Harris went into Joe Boakai. I remember
Joe Biden, not Boakai.
Joe Biden. When she went into Joe Biden, that in all of the whole race, in all of the various presidential debates, that was his worst. Because she took the gloves off and she came after the old man. And she landed some solid punches.
I remember that.
He could have taken that personally and pushed her aside. But he understood. He said, no. That's who I want. That's who I want. Because she will always tell me the truth. She'll always be honest with me. And she'll be a strong person. And if tomorrow, because of my age, I have to leave, that's who I want to leave there. Somebody who I know will fight for the American people. I don't understand. What the emotion is about. The personal feelings is about. The thing is common addition, subtraction. Simple as that. Everybody waiting for the old man.
Yeah, but Michael, this is what you glossing over.
What is that?
There is a cultural difference. These people went to debate, and it was all about the issues. And even when there were some personal attacks, they realized it's politics. And aside from politics, we still fighting for the country. Can we say the same here? Are we all fighting for the country?
I would like to hope so.
Fighting for the country, we wouldn't have what was going on now. So when you say it's easier for him, no, it's not, because for him, his position is he wants to lead the ticket. That's his position. His position is not that Liberia will benefit. That's not his position.
Jimmy, I'm not cutting you off, right? I'm not cutting you off. I think what you're trying to say is, Marcos should say they should be easy. But the political leaders have made things so difficult for themselves because they are looking at what their supporters will say as to what benefits the country. And there where I always question, I don't know, should I say their patriotism or their explanation that they are doing this for Liberia. If you are doing it for Liberia, how does Liberia win? How does Liberia win should be the question. And what is the answer? By picking this person who has more and increases my chances of winning. And that's the simple decision. So I agree with Mark. I think the only difference is that, they should be easy. but they have made it, difficult for themselves. Gentlemen, quickly here, before we go to the phone lines, our background, get the number set up so that we can, take some phone calls here, the discussion. I'm enjoying it. And let me start with Michael on this one. Michael, alternative. We can do all of this. At the end of the day, whoever wins must govern.
Yes.
That side must be the alternative. And the opposition have said consistently they will provide a better alternative for our country and for our people. How, in any way, shape, and form has this opposition bloc been any alternative to the CDC other than just making noise?
No. I won't say that. I won't say that.
I'm asking my question. Go ahead.
I'll give you an example. Right?
Right.
We elected several people into the legislature, into the Senate, right? And because of that, we saw Wambudiki was rejected. We saw the other incompetent kid from RIA was rejected. We see that the police is being called before the Senate to answer questions concerning the death of the daughter of the Chief Justice. So, look, is everything perfect? No. But we are seeing things that are activating itself, okay, that leads us to believe that if indeed we have an opposition victory, we have an opportunity here to make the changes that Liberia need. Without those people in the opposition, with all those people in the Senate, okay, Wambudiki today, Wambudiki would have been head of the Election Commission. Can you imagine that? He would have been head of the Election Commission. Would have had that kid running RIA that only had, working in a group home, and I don't know what else he was doing, some craziness.
Marka, do you really want to give that credit to the opposition, or you want to give it to the Liberian people who will allow and register a strong opposition to these nominees for which the lawmakers are kind of listening? Because I remember very well my own county, I think former senator now, Peter Kuma, he admitted that they confirmed people they knew were not qualified for the positions, and they did it anyway. Peter Kuma confessed that, right? But he's on the CDC side. But when he was speaking, he was talking about them, as a legislative body. And majority of them in that house, they are all in the opposition. Meaningful things like the budget. Look at how much they are approving, all right, that will improve the material condition of the Liberian people as compared to what they're approving for themselves. That's how you know that the opposition is an alternative and not just making these little soundbites here and there for recognition. How you see it?
Well, here's the thing you have to look at. The budget was passed last week, right? But look and see who all voted for the budget and who all voted against the budget. These legislators, these senators that were elected on the United Opposition ticket, the CPP ticket, they are voting against the budget. But guess what? They are not enough in number. But what it tells us is that if we had enough numbers of these legislators, that budget would have been sent back to the president. It would have been sent back to the executive mansion for him to do what he needs to do.
But here's the thing, though, Mr. Pamo. One of the things that we hear is budgets, I think, performance reports.
Yeah, but
the Ministry of Finance has not been consistent with that. Have they done enough as opposition, legislators to hold the government accountable?
No, I think they can do more. I think they can do more. That's what I'm saying. Look, everything is not perfect. I'm not going to sit there and tell you everything is perfect. Okay? But you have a speaker who is CDC. Okay? Deputy Speaker, CDC. President Pro Tem, CDC. Head of the executive, CDC. Head of Ways and Means, CDC. I mean, the legislative process alone ties you up. That just because you got few senators or you get one or two representatives, it's not going to be enough.
Thank you.
But what it does show, I don't know if you saw the video with Yeke Koluba when the House wanted to pass the budget. He said it's not happening here today. What I'm trying to say to you is that if we had more of those people, And the only way we can have more of those people is if we unite once more, like we showed when we went to the senatorial by-elections, where we took 15 senators to the by-elections and we won 12 out of 15 seats. That
Thank you.
tells you something. That tells you that if we do it again, we can carry the legislature, the House, the Senate, the presidency. Man, look, we can actually change the path of Liberia, man.
Thank you. I'm finding it very hard to believe, Jimmy. I don't know how you see it. Is the opposition an alternative here? What have they shown to the people of Liberia to know that it represents the alternative that they appreciate, Jimmy?
Okay, first to see if the opposition is alternative. If I had any critique about this, the CDC-led administration, it is because I do not see Liberian experts in the positions they need to be to move the country ahead. So I look at let me examine the Unity Party and the other and the ANC. The Unity Party, believe me, they have a lot of well-educated people in the background. There are many. I went to school. A lot of them are the boys when they come from up in the interior. All they do is eat their book all day long. That's what they were doing. And there are a lot of them behind that, the Unity Party, the party of Kesseley. That's how I look at the Unity Party, the party of beyond Kesseley. So they will bring to the table a lot of expertise. ANC also. They have the expertise largely. I see a lot of them in the diaspora, a lot of them around. I see them bringing in a different group, a different dynamic to the table than what we exist today. So, because of the very body, those two bodies and what they compose of, the CDC is offering partisanship. That is where they are good at. All the partisans have good positions and all of that. And it's great for the CDC, but is it good for the country? I think expertise, we need expertise. And if the opposition will bring in new expertise to the table, I think they would be doing.
Jimmy, I don't want to dismiss your expertise that they bring, the education. I don't want to dismiss that. We really need that, and we really need that. But you know why we need more? People who get the job done. Is the opposition, the kind of opposition that gets things done. Unity Party is part of the opposition now. Did they get things done enough for us to say, yes, the opposition is any alternative? Let's look at the comment side. Look at the short list he came out, decision he's made. Look at his platform. I don't know if any, but his little plans here and there. Marco would not want me to talk about that. Do you see alternative in any of those things?
I don't. I see an alternative.
Okay.
But I don't see a way forward until they come. If they don't come together.
Thank you, Mr. Gateman. Before we go to the phone line, we're talking alternative here. I know you're going to persecute the opposition. Are there an alternative in any way?
No. And the reason I'm saying this is if you are going to get rid of the devil you have for the angel you have never seen, it has to be obvious. And from this, the question is, Jimmy talks about the expertise and the knowledge base in the Unity Party. The Unity Party is the past immediate leadership of the country. They were in power. What happened to all the expertise and all the leadership? In fact, Ellen herself admitted. She said, my mistake was hiring a lot of experts that she considered transitory experts. Transitory means that people who just came to go through to make money and leave, but they left actually nothing there. Ellen admitted this because she brought all the PhDs and all the masters and all the doctors and all of that. And they became transitory. They were not for the country. So I agree with you, Mr. C. Are these people ready to actually move the country other than rely on their degree to say, do you know who I am and all of that? So in that case, it is not going to happen. The Liberian people will keep what they have. with the road development, new schools being built, new hospital being built. They see something as compared to all the doctors and PhD that came under the LA Unity Party that they absolutely nothing.
All right. With that said, gentlemen, we will take a short break. When we come back, we will be going to the phone lines to take some calls quickly. We will be right back, folks. Do not go anywhere.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Anson CA hosting today along with my partner, Jaron Goodman. Jimmy Ismail is here. Mr. Palmo is also here, and this is what we do to provide education and simplify things for our people to know what's obtaining and to inform the political leaders to make the best decision for our country. We'll go to the phone line. The man, F.F. Morris, is there. Mr. Morris, how you doing that? Your take?
I'm doing well. Hello to the panelists. I'm a bit disappointed in all of your analysis on the Nigerian election because I think you guys have missed a few key points. The Nigerian election is very similar to what we have going on in Liberia right now, and I think maybe I should just give a little bit of history on that part before I get to my analysis. In Nigeria, there are candidates that are parallel to some of our candidates in Liberia. For example, you have a man like Rabiu Kwankwaso, who comes from Kano, the second largest populated state in Nigeria, who comes from a prominent family in that state, in Kano. He got almost 1 million votes, the largest of all of the candidates in one state, in Kano State. You can put parallel to a person like Tawan Gonglo in that regards, right? Who only won one state in the entire, federation in Nigeria. You go to a person like Atiku, who you can parallel to Boyka, who was a former vice president, who Obasanjo, who was his president at the time. He denounced him and supported somebody else. This is Atiku's 5th time running for president. He lost against Umaru Yar'Adua. He lost against Jonathan. He lost twice against Buhari, and now he lost against Tinubu. He's massively corrupt that his own former president, who he served under, denounced him and supported Peter Obi in this election. So there's tribal elements too. Atiku comes from the north. The northern people have a gripe with the Igbos. They say that Igbos will never be president in Nigeria. So Atiku had the votes from the north. He won almost 11 states in the north, where Peter Obi won most of the southeastern and the south. So you're looking at identity politics and tribal politics in Nigeria. But the one thing I think that the opposition should really learn from this Nigerian election is the mechanism, the way of voting. Because when you guys, let me just wrap up, please. The way of voting. These people in Nigeria said that they were going to have what they call the BVAS, where it would be electronic. You vote, they would accredit you. Once you put your vote, it would be tabulated in Abuja. Everybody could see each person that votes, and that way it would be as transparent. But that never happened. The BVAS was never used for the voting tabulation in Nigeria. That's why a lot of people said the election was rigged. So people like Mr. Padmore, when the CPP hear about this whole voting through electronic means, you guys should really get on top of it, because if it happens, that could be another way maybe the CDC could use to cheat in the election. And finally, I think one of the best candidates for VP should be Clarence Moneba, for the exception of Joseph Boyka, who can't take him because they're from the same county. I think Comey should look at him carefully. He's a guy who is very well learned. He's young like himself, will bring a lot of youth vote, and he can cut away some of boycott vote in local county if he looks at Clarence Montebat seriously. I've been on the line for too long. I will leave it there. Somebody else can come in. Thank you.
Thank you. We will go back to the line. The man, Wetton Kera, is there. Mr. Kera?
Yeah. Thank you, brother. See you, and I'd like to say hi to your panelists. Well, I was listening to my brother Campbell, and it kind of saddened my heart because why would we go through all of this? Opposition people, we're all Liberians. We'll go through all of this. Rick Monroe in the opposition of people insulting Mr. Cummings, going back and forth, saying all kinds of denigrating things about this young man. And he said, I'm not going to be the second, I'm going to be the first. I'm going to be the first. Because of that, he was brought down to nothing. And today, Campbell saying that ANC say, okay, we surrounded, we throw the flag in, we'll go at second. What a desperation, brother. You don't trust yourself. How can you be leader of a country? You got to have the balls to be able to stand up for what you say. You say you're not going to be second. You can't raise to be first. Why you throwing the towel in not to be second? Always stick it down. It will shine for you one day. And let me tell you something here, guys. I don't care how this opposition unites. The momentum of CDC, the development the Nigerian people say. Imagine the election happening. We have or not less than, let's say, between 2 million or a little over 2 million people. Now our population is almost 6 million or 6 million people. We talk about people who didn't vote in the election. They decided to vote now for CDC. We talk about the young people, the first time voters deciding to vote for CDC. People crossing over. There will be a massive defeat for the opposition this coming election. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wetton Kera there, who supports President Weah. The next caller here is Brian.
Hello?
Yeah. Brian, phone number ending in 5775. Your turn, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, go ahead. Caller with phone number ending in 5775. Go ahead. You're live.
I just want to say thank you to all the panels. I really enjoy your show. I just have one suggestion. I'm wondering, because I'm looking at Clarence and Tewa Gongo, because Clarence is a lot younger, and Tewa Gongo is older. You hear the advice Clarence. Because I want to compare this ticket to Barack Obama and Joe Biden. You know, if you look at Barack Obama presidency, if you look at the country he took war back in the day, and when you hear Joe Biden behind him, Joe Biden was able to push him because Joe Biden had a lot of experience in the Senate, so Joe Biden was able to guide him. And I see this ticket with Clarence being president and Tewa Gongo being vice president. Clarence will be able to have a very good advice, you know, and not only that, too, the people have a very, very clean character, you know. We can look at our children and say, look at Clarence, he's young, he's not even 45 years, and look at the number of education that he has. So you can set a child down and maybe to set and follow the example of Clarence, you know, having to set a goal, you know, for him in the future. For our kids, the young people in Liberia, for example, like Clarence said that, look at our children selling in the street, you know, 10 years or 11 years or selling in the street. Where our kids in China, but they go to school, you know, the next 10 years, it'll be totally different. So we got to look at character. And the character is very, very, very important. So I'll leave my own. You guys can, that's my take to your show. And I say thank you for allowing me to talk to you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Gentlemen, something I pick up from the discussion that I want you to speak to, and any other thing you may have picked up there, is the fact of the young voters, right? The first-time voters, people who are voting for the first time. Some of them have opened their eyes politically, and all they see is the current government billing roles here and there, as we heard being reported. They see little street light here and there. They see some new schools today about new billings. For them, seeing that for the first time, and that CDC is doing that, they might look the CDC way. as compared to the opposition where they see so much noise. I'm not dismissing the fact that they hear about corruption. I don't know how well they understand that. But don't you think those things they see that enticing the sport park, for example, the young people go in there? Don't you think the new voters will more than likely favor CDC? Don't you see it that way? And what can the opposition do to sway them from that direction if they are looking in that direction in their majority? Who wants to go first?
If you want, I can come in.
Go ahead.
I agree that the CDC administration is making some strides in building roads, completing roads. I hear of them putting in hospitals, even though there's been criticism that these hospitals are not equipped, but they are making that effort. And they've made some effort providing education at the graduate level or at the baccalaureate level. Tuition. Those things will help the CDC in this next election. Okay, but what always matters to people are bread and butter issues, and that is how the cost of living for them and whether they are being able to sustain themselves. If there has been some commodities prices going up, not it's CDC's fault at all, because we're all part of a global economy, and Liberia will be inadvertently affected if something like COVID causes wheat and whatnot exports not to be able to go out. So we've seen a rise in the cost of living, and whereby our income has not gone increase according to that. So when people from now to August or to September, if the economic conditions become worse, if they begin to tighten, then that will affect voters and how they will vote. So I believe that we must keep the focus on, are we developing our people as well? Do the youth see a future with the CDC? I think though that's what they will be asking themselves come September, because they're the majority. And if they see a future with the CDC, if the CDC can provide that picture that there's a great future with us, and go with us, and you will see what we will do, then they will succeed.
Good point there, Jimmy. And Pamo, I give it to you. Jimmy is saying, hey, the projects here might be reason for new voters, young voters to see, oh, this is good and it's been done by the government. But then when they go home, they're hungry. Some of them are in school. They see their parents struggling. What's going to be the determining factor, as to where they go to cast their vote, the opposition and the CDC, because they are hungry. We know that for a fact. Where would they go? Will it be the economic, the bread and butter issue that will decide that, or the roads that they see, or the cars that they see, the schools and all that?
Here's the thing. What people fail to realize is that CDC is run really on this zealous effort. And there are people who are just passionate about George Weah. The kids you are talking about now, those kids never saw George Weah play football. Never. They got to go on the internet before they can look at one or two shots, They say, oh, so they got to play football. Those kids are coming now. You have George Weah. It's not a natural gravitation. It's not. Okay? They have to be won over. And CDC does not have that. CDC has never had the ability to win people over. The people that CDC get, that people they get, that high looking, that had the sedition looking reactions, seditions, they say all in the scene. They don't have the ability to win people over. They're just there that we are how we are. We won't hear from nobody that high looking.
But obviously, we are got them there. The love for we are, and now we are stay around.
Yes, but like I told you, these kids never saw we are play football. They don't have that celebrity touch connection with him. You understand what I'm saying? Look, let me give you an example, right?
But do they have that connection with the game, the football?
No, not even the football. Not even the football in Liberia. My man, when we grew up in Liberia, they will have football wars. Football none of that anymore.
Okay.
When Baron Ayi play, the next day that was holiday, the whole city shut down. There's no team, right? When the last time you heard an enthusiastic football event in Liberia? None. Even Lone Star is zero.
So at the end of the day, what would decide where to go?
What would decide is the ability to win this case over. And that means that CDC has to convince them that they are better. And in that light, I believe the opposition wins.
All right. Mr. Goodman, the young people, first-time voters, they see projects, some of them, their first time, and they see the opposition fighting. That's what they're saying all along. By the end of the day, the economic situation on the ground, they can see in their parents' eyes that things are not well. Where would they go?
Well, look at the investment that this president and his lieutenants have made in the young folks. About 4 years ago, when Nathaniel McGill were going and giving $50 million here, paying for all middle schoolers, people were saying, well, how crazy is this guy? You go to Bond County and you fill the stadium with 100,000 kids. They're not of voting age. They're in middle school. They're all 6th, 7th graders. Little did they know that this man was having a pollinating effect. That in
and Mr. Goodman, to help you at the last time I checked, McGill has spent $110 million Liberian dollars in the name of scholarship. Go ahead, sir.
That's correct. So look what happened after the sanction. Most people thought McGill was dead. But you go to Magibi County now, when McGill shows up, it is basically a tsunami of young men and women. Same thing last week.
Don't you think they are there to chop?
Oh, well, if they are there to chop, that's fine. But why when Cummings show up, they don't go to chop? Why when Waka show up, they don't go to chop? The last week, I was talking, I said, whatever happened to...
Maybe they don't know them to be giving money out like McGill would do.
Well, listen, you play, you know, when we're negotiating, you negotiate from a position of strength. If the other guy don't have money, that's fine. It's on them. When I asked about Bekube Jr., I said, what is he doing? And then I began to follow him in Riverside County. There's nobody else there that stands a chance because of the work that he has done there.
And Mr. Goodman, let us not forget too, though, quickly here. Vani Sherman brought all the money. The people chopped the money. He did not get elected as president. Thomas' father of late was an ATM. The people chopped the money. Go ahead.
Vani Sherman brought money to the people. Vani Sherman did not have one tangible in Liberia to show.
My father had tangible. He brought his money. They ate it.
But yeah, but nothing else besides the money. I'd like what happened this gone survey in Lofa County. They asked the young man. They say, "Young man, why are you voting for George Weah?" There were two. One say, "I'm not voting for George Weah. I'm voting for Joseph Boakai." Then they asked him why. He said, "During Joseph Boakai, we had NGO all over the place, so we could get food, we get everything. But the NGO are all gone. George Weah made them to go." Then other young man said, during early time, we had a lot of NGO, and we just started. He said, but now I'm in the bush every weekend. When I leave school, I go in the bush, I brush, I got my cassava, I got my edo, I got all of those things, and I can sell them in the market and make my own money. She said, I can rely on my own money than rely on NGO. So you see the thought process there. Somebody saying, I want to live on my own sweat. Somebody saying the NGO are gone, George Weah made them to leave. So these young folks are seeing it. And then when they went into Foya, in Boakai, own hometown, it plays out. The number is lopsided. So the young people are going to gravitate towards the king. And this is going to be a one-round victory.
Gentlemen, I think excellent discussion. I hope we were able to serve our audience well and were able to also represent our institution well. I can't thank you enough. We'll take a minute each to close. Let's start with the man from the nation's capital. Jimmy? The vice presidential pick. Let's close.
Uh, the vice presidential pick, it can be very strategic, but again, the parable is better. It's better to be a lion can lead sheep into victory, but a sheep cannot lead lions into victory. So that who is the head of that ticket, a huge difference. A huge difference. The one caller mentioned something. I think it was important that what Moneybuy will bring to the table, and he said the tribal thing. We must acknowledge that many Liberians do vote on tribal lines, on where they're from, and so if they got a relative from someone like me from Rivercess, I would say, oh, that's my Rivercess boy, or that's my Rivercess man or woman. And they tend to do that. So the choice of vice president, you definitely want someone, you want to have a focus on what group you plan to bring there, besides having the finances and all that. But really, at the end of the day, you want votes. So that VP pick has to be one that will attract a huge amount of votes to yourself.
And so close with ticket A and B that will have a chance.
Ticket A, as we all know, but the ticket doesn't exist. The Cummings and Wakai ticket.
Okay.
But second to that, as opposition, as far as opposition goes, I think the Wakai Dillon ticket is the next best ticket for the opposition.
Thank you. And Mr. Palmer, how would a VP pick team play out, and give a ticket A for the opposition, ticket B that may win?
So yes, thank you so much. Like I've said before, I've listened to the CDC people. They're all excited because I'm speaking from a UP perspective on what is best for Joseph Boyka. But the Liberian people have spoken. They want a united opposition. I talked about a good ticket for Boyka. Now, I believe the best ticket for Alexander Cummings is Boyka stepping away from the race and blessing a Cummings Gonglo ticket. That's what I believe personally is the best ticket for Liberia in my regard. Is Boyka stepping away from the race and blessing. He can't just step away. He has to give his blessing to a Cummings Gonglo ticket. And if he does so,
political ordination.
Yes, indeed. And therefore, and that ticket will be a first round victory.
Okay.
That ticket will win.
All right, thank you. And the man who sees no one as other than President Weah and Joel Howard Taylor, but we are discussing the opposition here. Ticket A and ticket B that may have a chance against your guy, maybe bury him in first round. What will it be?
Yeah, first I want to thank you, Mr. C, because it's very difficult for me to discuss my CDC the way I want to discuss it and be a host. So when you agree to grill us, it's a relief. But first of all, I want to say something very important here. Last Friday we were in a debate here on the former Chief Justice, and I said something that most people called me and told me that I was too harsh. And then management discussed it with me, and it was true. I could have been a little more tactful than I was. And I think 100 people cannot be wrong, and you are right. That means that I'm an absolutist, which I'm not. For the folks, yes, in the death of a child and everything else, we should be a little more calm, a little more measured in what I'm talking about. Me, I'm not talking about everybody else. I don't think I was my best on Friday when I mentioned that she was a pathological liar because she was inconsistent on 2 occasions in the interview. So that was unfortunate. But being as it may, We all have to fight for what is good for Liberia. I think, to me, the best ticket, I have to, for the first time, agree with Mr. Padmore. The world is trending young and younger every day. Um, there has to be a time in your life, in your political career or in your professional career, where you say, you know what, it's time for me to retire. Let me groom a group of young folks to take over. And this is where I see Joseph Boakai. If he's a true statesman and he wants to go in the history books to say, you know what, Mr. Cummings and Gongolo, you guys have a future in this country. And I think with your combined experiences, Liberia is in good hands, and I can go and lie down and sleep well. I think he needs to do that. But for now, that would be the ticket formidable to President Weah. Even if they don't win this time, I think the world is going to be, Liberia is going to be, look upon them 2029 favorably.
With that said, that is how we will come to the end of yet another edition of our program On Point. I want to say thanks to Mr. Gaiman for giving me the opportunity to lead today. Folks, the song that says we are all Liberians is closing us right now. You're not going to get my closing commentary today because I'm not in my office. Thank you and bye-bye.
We are